So anyway, I was thinking about going to San Diego, just checking it out.
Oh, I wouldn't do that.
Why is that?
They have a huge carjacking problem.
Really? I didn't know that.
Well, they bump you, and when you stop, they mutilate you and take your car.
That sounds a whole lot like the movie we're about to talk about.
Flirting with Disaster.
Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Butler.
And I'm Mike Field.
And you're listening to the Forgotten Cinema Podcast. Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. Whether it be because a more popular movie was released at the same time, or the movie simply didn't catch on with audiences in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or maybe don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. If you enjoy our podcast, we want to hear from you. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Our podcast is available on all platforms with a backlog of over 200 episodes for your listening pleasure.
Hey, Mike, what's going on?
Nothing, I just had a kid. He's about 3 months old. I still haven't named him yet. So I thought about going on a journey through America to try to find my long lost true parents.
Interesting. That all right then. I think we are talking about the same movie. How has your week been, Mike? Even though, we batch record, but how has your week been?
It's been all right. I've been excited to come back, start doing this again.
Awesome.
I'm back in the studio.
All right, so let's get into it. We're doing Flirting with Disaster. Has a runtime of 92 minutes, rated R, production budget of $7 million. An indie film. How I love thee. Release date was Friday, April 12th, 1996. Its opening weekend, it did $3 million, and domestic, I guess it didn't have an international release, so its domestic and worldwide total are the same, and that's $14.7 million. So it doubled its budget.
Not bad for a small indie movie.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not considered I'm curious if I can never find out because it's very difficult to find DVD and Blu-ray sales and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's very difficult. Sometimes you can, sometimes they just don't have it. So I said it came out on the 12th, which was a Friday, and a wide release. It went up against James and the Giant Peach and Fear. I love that movie. Fear is so bad.
I don't know if I know Fear.
That's all right.
So, at least by the title. I mean,
so for everyone who has seen Fear, I'm about to do my favorite line from Fear. Just let me in the fucking house. You don't remember that? Mark Wahlberg, Reese Witherspoon. He's a stalker. He's stalking her. William Peterson's her dad.
We've talked about this. I haven't seen it, but you've talked about it before.
It's such a 90s film, and it's awesome. And I'm going to give a shout out to John Doolin because I know he loves it as well. So, John, if you're watching this, awesome.
I do remember us talking about it.
We need to put that on the list just so I can say that line again. I probably didn't do it as well as Mark Wahlberg. Of course, I'm not a trained actor, as thespian as he is, but it's really a funny film. I mean, it is fun. Also, that week in a limited release, we had Kids in the Hall, Brain Candy. Hey, we did that movie. Yeah. And Getting Away with Murder, Jane Eyre. The week after, the 19th of April, you had a wide release of Celtic Pride, which I did not like. Do you remember that?
I have that.
Dan Aykroyd and the Wet Bandit. What's his name? From Home Alone, Daniel Stern.
Oh, Daniel Stern.
Kidnap Celtics player. I believe it's Damon Wayans.
Oh, it is actually the Celtics? Yeah, I haven't seen it now.
Or I think he's a Celtic player. I don't. You know what? Who knows? It's not.
It's not.
You also had The Substitute and Mrs. Winterbourne, and in a limited release, Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie, which I like. So the week before, on April 5th, you had a wide release of Primal Fear, which was kind of Edward Norton's coming out party.
So there was Fear, and then there was Primal Fear.
Exactly. There's two different types of fear sometimes, primal and regular. Thin line between love and hate, Faithful, Fargo, which we both love, and a limited release of The Last Supper. This movie was written and directed by David O. Russell, who has been nominated for 3 Oscars for director and writer of American Hustle, and the same for Silver Linings Playbook, and he was nominated as a director of The Fighter. He also wrote Amsterdam. That's his most recent one. Cinematographer was Eric Allen Edwards. He did To Die For, Copland, and Couples Retreat. Composer was Stephen Endelman, who's done 2 Family House, an episode we did, and then he did Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li, which is an episode we will not do. Edited by Christopher Tellefson, who's nominated for an Oscar for Moneyball. He's also done A Quiet Place, and more recently, The Menu. Produced by Dean Silvers, who's done Spanking the Monkey and Manny and Low.
Which one's Spanking the Monkey? 'Cause I'm pretty sure I've seen it.
Spanking the Monkey is with Jeremy Davis, who has to tend to his mother, who has broken her leg, and then proceeds to have sex with her.
I have seen that movie. Yes.
I mean, it's an indie film. You should see it. It's really just kind of like, whoa, what's happening here? It's very like provocative, and
I remember watching that. I was kind of young when I watched it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's early 90s, and early 90s Mike is early 20s, late teenagers. So you're just kind of like, ooh, what's this? So yeah, it's not. He does do a lot of Spanking the Monkey in the movie as well. That's kind of like where it comes from, because he's sexually charged.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I saw it when I was in high school. It was just on TV, and it was like called Spanking the Monkey. It was like, that's got to be a comedy movie. And I'm like,
if you think it's funny,
I was just like, what did I just watch?
Yeah. I mean, I recommend.
I think I'd have to watch it again.
It's
now
not a terrible film. It is what it is. It's provocative, as they say. Ben Stiller plays Mel Coplin. I think it's Copland. Excuse me. He's in Zoolander, obviously, Tropic Thunder, which we love. Patricia Arquette plays Nancy Copland, who is his wife. She's she won an Oscar for Boyhood. She's also in True Romance and the TV show Medium. I'm only saying that because it's on TV all the time in the morning when I'm at home working.
I think it's probably where a lot of more modern audience might know her.
Yeah, and she's also in Severance, which is, and she was in the other one that Ben Stiller directed, because he produced and directs Severance, the show on Apple, which you should watch. It's really good.
I do want to watch that, yeah.
And they're shooting the second season now, I think, or they just finished. Yeah. But she's also in that show. She was in the limited series on Max. I think about remember the convicts that escaped from the prison in Pennsylvania, and they had the help of the security guard. Like, she was.
Oh, they made a thing about that?
Yeah,
I didn't even. Yeah,
that came out like in 2015. I never saw it. Okay. I want to see it, but she plays I believe she plays the security guard, or excuse me, the cop that gets, or the corrections officer, that gets, involved with the guy.
Ben Stiller's also in Mystery Men, which is an episode we did. I was trying to think of, did we do a Ben Stiller movie? That might not be the only one we've done, too.
What?
Ben Stiller? Have we done more than just Mystery Men with him?
I know I've kind of I've been thinking about putting Life of Walter Mitty on the list, the remake he did.
That's an okay movie, but it looks real nice.
That's why I kind of, there's a lot of stuff I like in that film. Yeah. But anyways.
Continue.
Yeah. Taya Leoni as Tina Kalb, who's in The Family Man, which is what we did. And Bad Boys. We're kind of excited for Bad Boys, Ride or Die.
Yep.
And the movie Deep Impact. Mary Tyler Moore, who plays Pearl Copland. Gee, I can't say names today. She is Ben Stiller, or Mel Copland's mother. Adopted mother. Yeah. She was nominated for an Oscar in Ordinary People. She's obviously on the TV show Mary Tyler Moore and Dick Van Dyke. George Segal as Ed Copland, who's the father. He's nominated for an Oscar for Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf and the TV show. He's in the TV show The Goldbergs. Alan Alda plays Richard Schlichting as the TV show MASH. He's nominated for an Oscar for the movie The Aviator. Lily Tomlin is Mary Schlichting. They are his original parents. They are Mel's parents, who he meets finally. She was nominated for an Oscar for Nashville. She's also 9 to 5 and The Incredible Shrinking Woman, a movie that scarred me when I was younger. Richard Jenkins. Did I ever tell you that?
No.
So one of my biggest pet peeves. Did you ever see The Incredible Shrinking Woman?
I know of it, and I know scenes, but I've never seen it in full.
Okay, so there's a scene in that movie where she gets accidentally put into the garbage disposal.
Okay.
And they're pouring food in there. She's getting covered in eggs and stuff like that. So I always think of this scene because one of my biggest pet peeves is food in the sink.
Sure, yeah, I don't like that either.
I hate food in the sink, and I think it comes from that movie, because I always that scene always grossed me out. I was just like, ugh, not like scary grossed me like I run away, but it was just disgusting. Like, it was just icky. It had the ick, as the kids say these days. And I always remember that scene. I think that always just like every time I see like food in the sink, and Jodie will probably, if she's listening to this, she's probably like, yep. I always like, why is it? Hate it.
I always tell Elise, especially now that the Rick and Morty episode came out with the shadow people.
Oh, right.
I always go, rinse your dishes. I hate when there's like, just get a fork and scrape it in.
I mean, we could just get a garbage disposal and be done with it, and that'd be fine. I mean, maybe we should just do that. Maybe I should just like put in.
No.
So anyways, that's my Incredible Shrinking Woman story. Richard Jenkins plays Paul Harmon. He's nominated for an Oscar for The Shape of Water and The Visitor. He's also in there Something About Mary. And Josh Brolin is Agent Tony Kent, who's nominated for an Oscar for Milk. He's in No Country for Old Men and The Goonies. So I think I mentioned this last week. I have seen this film. I enjoy this film. I think it's got a nice runtime, and I think it makes me laugh. It's funny, but I'm curious if Butler likes it. So, Mike, what'd you think?
I was unimpressed. I laughed at maybe one part slightly. I didn't think it was funny. I thought the plot line was a little generic, like the beats. It's like a comedy of errors, but it doesn't really become a full comedy errors till the end, and by then it's a little too late. I found the love triangle both like infuriating and eye rolling. Just it was dumb. It was very like, we're edgy, but you're not edgy. The best part of the movie is probably Josh Brolin and Richard Jenkins characters. I would much rather have seen a movie starring the two of them, as those neuroses kind of are a little more interesting than Ben Stiller's neuroses. I didn't enjoy Ben Stiller's shtick, and I usually like Ben Stiller, and this is not like out of left field for his kind of like, I'm Ben Stiller. How did I possibly get Patricia Arquette? I don't get it.
Hold on. I don't ever know if I ever seen Ben Stiller do that.
That's just like an exaggerated version, but like kind of like me, kind of like, okay, what am I? I'm in over my head, like that Something About Mary kind of Ben Stiller, which I prefer that kind of version of the same character. The acting's very good overall. I'm not a huge fan of the dialogue, the kind of feel of the movie. The uncomfortable scenes are there, and I don't like uncomfortable. But
I was just going to bring that up.
I was just going to bring that up. I don't think there's ever a scene that really goes so far into the uncomfortable where I did feel uncomfortable.
Well, what scenes? If you can, I don't want to put you on the spot. But...
Him breaking the stuff.
Oh, when they do the Indian wrestling, they're in the wrestling. Yeah.
When Richard Jenkins, Paul's character, learned he's already caught on to the fact that this is all a big love triangle kind of thing. He's switching between the cars. Like, I feel like that should be appealing, but I was like, all right. And it went on for way too long. There's just stuff within that. Obviously, the whole thing where he meets his second, or he thinks is his second family, is where he meets his father. It turns out he's not really his father.
Boudreaux?
By Boudreaux,
when they drive into
David Patrick Kelly's character. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I was like, that whole thing is supposed to be like, is uncomfortable, but it really just, it's so unfunny. I didn't really think it was that uncomfortable. It was just kind of like, all right, let's go. Let's meet the actual family already. I was like, maybe Alan Alda will make me laugh and Lily Tomlin, because I was not really feeling.
Really?
I was not feeling this movie.
Interesting. All right. So, I'm wondering if this is one of those films that maybe because you hadn't seen it till now.
I thought the same. There are so many movies that have come since that have this kind of thing.
Not even that, but just because it's like, it is. I am unabashedly biased to indie films. I will always give indie films the benefit of the doubt. This movie was during the 90s when indie films were all the thing. Like, there's a ton of them, and they were all.
Sure, we've done a bunch on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to be sympathetic to that, but also I saw this when it first came out. So this was like not an introduction to Ben Stiller, but this is when Ben Stiller was on the rise. So I'm curious if maybe because you're having a different reaction, just because
I've seen Ben Stiller, who's now a pro at it and stuff. Sure, that could be it. I also just don't think the writing was strong for me, because the comedy.
David Russell's going to kick your butt if you do that, because he hates everybody.
I mean, I try to keep that out of it when I watch his movies, but that guy, like the fact that he keeps getting a job in Hollywood after all the stuff that's come out about him.
To be fair, he is bipolar. He does have mental health issues.
That's fine. That's fine.
Part of that.
Did you watch the video where he's? I think you're talking about. Is it this movie where he's at Lily Tomlin?
I Heart Huckabees. Is when he's yelling at her and stuff like that. She's yelling at him back. Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
No,
and then there's George Clooney, which I love. That's
Three Kings. Yeah, no,
George Clooney didn't take his crap.
And in this movie, he didn't get along with Ben Stiller in this film.
Which you can imagine how bad the heated arguments got, but that's fine.
I mean, not that I need to dissect, what's going on with him as a director, or David O. Russell, or anything like that. But some people, when you're on film sets, or some people that you're working with, sometimes don't have the confidence in themselves to just be able to, do what they need to do.
Sure. I think there's a difference.
Lash out. It happens.
I think there's a difference between like regular anger, like Christian Bale yelling at the lighting guy in Terminator, to what David O. Russell does is to the extreme.
First of all, Christian Bale wasn't wrong.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying there's a difference between that kind of yelling,
or Tom Cruise
yelling at the that's yelling. That's like your boss yelling, which, okay, maybe calm down a little bit, but that happens.
Right.
That's a heated argument. What David O. Russell has done, like in what I've seen in that one clip, which I assume is how bad it was when George Clooney had to intervene, is another level. That's where it steps over a line.
Okay, but I
keep that separate.
No, absolutely, totally, 100%. I get that. I think you were just saying. I don't know why I brought it up. Anyways.
Well, because I just wanted to bring it up because I feel like if we didn't bring it up,
No, sure. Totally.
It had to be brought up sometime.
Totally.
But I separate that from his other movies.
I don't know how you don't love Middle Finger Guy. I do not know how you don't love the guy in the trash. He's just
Middle Finger Guy was funny,
my dad.
but the rest of them weren't that funny.
But see, again,
it gets better when they finally get to the Schlichting's house. It gets a little better.
The Shit Kings?
That's when it gets
Kings?
ridiculous to where like it's okay. Like Josh Brolin like being obsessed with the armpit.
Yeah.
I thought was really
What are we doing
funny.
here?
Yeah.
Do you like this? No, I don't know what
like
this is.
But you seemed like you were into it. I liked the attention.
Yeah. But
Like stuff like that, but that comes too late.
Oh, see, I think that stuff is in there. Like I think one of my notes here is that Mary Tyler Moore and George Segal are great in this film. I love when they go over the house to see them, and Mary Tyler Moore is just like
Super neurotic.
laying it on, and I love it. I'm just like, and she looks great for.
So that last scene where the end credits, they're like gonna do it, and the baby starts crying. I'm like, she's in great shape.
Yeah. I mean, and she passed away a couple of years ago. So, you know, but still, I think they were hilarious. Both of them.
They are great. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and we did the scene for the video, not for people who listen to the podcast. We kind of do an opening for the video. Right. You don't get that. Sorry. We did this. One of our favorite lines when he's talking to George Segal's. Yeah.
They mutilate you.
Yeah.
And then they steal your car. Wait, they mutilate? I don't remember reading about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was fun. I always like, there's tons of lines in this movie that I really enjoy, but, I mean, I'm kind of disappointed you're not a big, you didn't like it. And maybe I should have known that you wouldn't like it because of the uncomfortable stuff. I know it's not all uncomfortable. And, you know, again, like I know I have an affinity to indie films. Like
you have an affinity to indie films, but my thing with indie films is I can excuse how they look. And I've said this before in a bunch of different indie films we've done, but the writing has to be super strong. Like Two Family House that we did.
Sure.
The writing is incredible. The film is awesome. Mm-hmm. It's also got it probably has less of a budget than this. I would have to go back and see, but like you have to have that kind of writing. You have to have that kind of like, wow. Or we just did one of on our finals before we wrapped up and came back again. We did Living in Oblivion. The writing in that is very strong. The comedy of that is very strong. It's got no budget.
Living in Oblivion is near perfect.
It's got that strong writing, and I just feel like it's not there. You have actors that are carrying this film on the backs of not the greatest writing.
Well, I think this. I kind of disagree with you. I think this film has great lines. I think this film is great. Like the whole. I know what you're. Just to bring up one of the stuff you said about when Richard Jefferson is on to the fact that they're kind of like couple swapping, and he's like laughing about it, he's saying it out loud, and they're just kind of like, what? Like that feels very legitimately like not that situation, but just
people pretending that somebody doesn't know.
Right.
Sure.
But people pretend like that whole thing is
switching
legit.
Cars over and over and they switch seats in the airplane. The shtick got tired at the airplane. I didn't think it was funny. It worked story wise, but I didn't think it was funny. And then they kept doing it as if it was supposed to be funny. And I'm like, wait, so this is the joke, but it's not funny, nor is it super uncomfortable. So people who find uncomfortable stuff funny, I'm not even getting squeamish. And if I'm not getting squeamish, I don't think it's uncomfortable funny enough to be funny. Yeah.
This is some weird...
if I'm not like going, I don't know if it's funny enough in an uncomfortable comedy situation. Like, I like the comedy of errors toward the end, and I feel like the whole thing is supposed to be a comedy of errors, and it really isn't. So
your biggest thing is you don't like the writing, but you're okay with the acting. Maybe not
the writing so much as the way the story plots out. Maybe that's more.
Well, that's part of the writing. That's
it's part of the writing, but not so much the dialogue,
right?
But more of that. I also don't care for Téa Leoni's character. I don't think she's neurotic, but I don't think she's neurotic enough.
Well, I think
until the end, and she's smoking and having a baby at the same time.
Well, that's the thing. I think I think with Téa Leoni, you need to take away is that she's not a good person.
Sure.
That's the thing. Like, she's just not a good person.
She's also supposed to be...
She was going to break up
with issues, and I don't think she's got enough issues.
Well, I mean...
That they show.
But it's not her story. It's Mel and Nancy's story. So, it's more about them. And, Really?
Yeah.
You want to call someone?
Yeah. That's not going to interrupt you for now. I don't enjoy
Damn it. Rude. It's their story, obviously, and
100%.
So, like, when you see at the end when they have all like in the credits, they're doing like most of the people having sex, and Téa Leoni is the only one that's trying to go on a date, but she's smoking while pregnant. The only two that are really kind of, in a moment of bliss that are happy are Nancy and Mel.
Sure, yeah.
Everyone else has, why are we babysitting the baby, like that whole thing,
but I think they're happy, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I love it. I always remember the line when they go to the B&B and the old lady's nodding at them and she's like, "You're terrible B&B people." It's like, yeah, well, it's because you hate B&Bs. I mean, it's like,
I like that everything he says about the B&B.
Yeah, like you could have gone there to listen to
Lady. Gotta pretend like you like the cat.
Yeah, she's got to tell you a story. You got to sit there and listen to her, and then that's happening, and then like he's the only one sitting there going, ugh, and like Nancy's just like loving it, and she's like, yeah, no, so like stuff like that, like I don't know, maybe I'm just a simpleton Butler. Maybe I just want simple things in my movie.
It's not that. It's just that I don't have that like I do with like science fiction or certain stories that I like, certain story types that I enjoy.
The science fiction film Virus, you're okay with that because it's sci-fi?
No, but you know what I'm trying to. It's like there are certain films where I'll have like an affinity to a certain type of film, and I'll be like, it's better than you think. I think that this is the kind of story where I don't have that affinity, so I'm going to judge it a little more harshly, especially when it's independent film. I'm going to look at more like, does the story make me feel anything? And I felt like I was pretty numb to the movie throughout most of it. Like I said, I really like I want to use their character name, Paul and Tony, Josh Brolin and
Agent Tony Kent,
Richard Jenkins. Yeah, like I like their characters quite a bit. I think they were the characters I was most interested in. And then also obviously Alan Alda and Lily Tomlin, when they get introduced, I'm like, I like that family. Let's skip David Patrick Kelly's. Let's skip the first family. Let's just spend more time with the Schlichtings. But then, of course, it would be Meet the Parents. But I would actually have preferred that. I want to spend more time with the Schlichtings. I think they were more interesting. They were more fleshed out. I think there was more comedy to tell there.
Well, they're also the parents. So I think you have to have that. You have to have that longer scene at the end because they're the parents.
No, I'm saying I want it even longer.
Oh, right.
Don't have the other stuff. Let's focus on that. Be more concentrated.
So I don't like this film because it's just an indie film. I you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Sure,
like,
yeah.
Okay. I like this film because I kind of disagree with you. I think the writing is good. I think it's smart and witty. I think it's and again, it's probably because I saw this 30 years ago where you have not. You saw it now, and so you've seen, you know what I mean? Like, so I think there's that connection for me to it than from you in terms of like a nostalgia connection, maybe. Sure. So that's probably part of that as well for me.
It was 1996. This was like the height of indie. Like now we've done so many indie films that now it's like, I have like the burden of watching all these 90 films now, being able to pick what was the great one. This was like the big boom. These things were taking off and it was like a big thing. Now it's like, well, now I have the ability to pick and choose like, this one is better than this one and this one. But back then it was just like, holy crap, all these great things.
It's like for me going back and watching 70s films or older films or 40s or 50s or 60s, you know, some movies are really good and they transcend the time frame and you're just like, this is just a great film. And some movies you're just like, I understand why people like it. I just don't dig it. I get that. So like, there's like, it's totally like that for me. So no,
I get what
I get that
you would like in this film. It didn't connect with me. And I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad film. It's not a bad film. It didn't connect with me.
So you're saying,
but I wouldn't say it would be like all these awards, like Time Magazine gave it like top whatever.
Yes.
Part of the top 500 like I do not think that.
Wow.
I think it's
contrarian.
Okay film.
Contrarian.
But I'm not usually.
Not for contrarian's sake. Just being a contrarian.
I am being a bit of a contrarian here.
I mean, I think this might go back to because I don't like Rango. I think
it all comes back to Rango. I need to hurt you like you.
Would you have liked it if Dick Van Dyke played Richard Schlichting? Because he was supposed to play it alongside Mary Tyler Moore, so she was supposed to play the Lily Tomlin character.
No, I think I can see Alan Alda playing this kind of character a little bit.
But see, I think that if that happened,
it'd be a very different kind of character.
No. I think that if Dick Van Dyke and Mary Tyler Moore were in this film as husband and wife, whatever role, I think this movie would have probably.
I would have probably already seen this movie because it would have been a bigger
because
movie,
that would have been a huge thing, like they're reuniting and stuff like that. But too bad. Oh well. But
her character changed. But I like Lily Tomlin better as Mary anyway, because or Mary Schlichting. She's not playing Mary Schlichting. But I think that Lily Tomlin kind of fits that kind of feel. And that might be because I've seen her Netflix show now where she plays the more hippie woman, where she plays against, it's her and...
What is this movie?
Jane Fonda. It's a
the TV show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, on Netflix.
I've seen some of that
with Martin Sheen and Sam Waterston.
Yes.
Yeah, and they're like they're the husbands of them, and they actually are married. They fall in love, and they're two husbands together. Yeah. So it's the name of the women. That's the name of the movie.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's been a while.
I'll look it up so that we don't have to get yelled at.
But I like Lily Tomlin in that role better, and that might be the benefit of the doubt of knowing that character from that show. And I think Mary Tyler Moore is great as her character, as the mother, the kind of doting mother who doesn't want Mel to go find his real parents because she knows right from the start, like, I'm your mom. Why do you have to, like, your neuroses of having to find your real parent is unnecessary.
Grace and Frankie.
Yes.
I don't want people to come back at us and be like, why did you do this? I mean, it's really disappointing you don't like this film.
I'm sorry.
Why don't you like this film, Butler? Come on. No, this is the entire episode now. Why?
I've just pointed out
you just don't like good things. You just don't like good things.
I like I said, Richard Jenkins' character, Josh Brolin. I like by the time they give him the LSD quail, like the LSD quail, and he's just like freaking out. And at first I was like, oh, he's mad that because he's shaking his head. He's more just like, at first. And I like that. It's like, oh, because he's a cop. I forgot. So he doesn't like them talking about LSD. And then his head goes forward. I'm like, oh no, wait, he's got the LSD bird. And he starts freaking out. And I do like, what kind of dog? Pincer. No. German Shepherd. No. Dalmatian. It's changing the dogs. She's like, I don't care. Guide him. No. Connie, calm down. Guide him on the trip.
I love Alan always like, I'm not going to jail.
I'm not going back to jail. We'll go to Mexico.
I know.
I do like the callback as well that the LSD strips have the same image of Reagan as on the portrait in the incorrect mother's house.
Oh, right. When they in Florida.
In Florida.
Is that in Florida? No, they weren't in Florida. Were they in Tallahassee? I don't even remember where they were. San Diego. They were in San Diego.
San Diego, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously. It's where the joke was. Gosh, how could we forget?
Oh, geez.
But yeah, like she talked about how Reagan, the greatest president we ever had. And he's just like, I thought I had to appreciate him more.
I know. I will say, I mean, like, I know that it was the style in the 90s, but his pants are the worst.
Was it the style?
It was.
It's like hiked up grandpa.
Pants in the 90s were like, it was like a high waist, but they're also, and he also got his shirt tucked in, but like the pleats, like I hate pleats, but like just that, he was a goober. He looked like a goober. He was a goober. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I want to say that's on purpose, but like it doesn't help when he's the leading man.
And how is he getting Patricia Arquette?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
scientists, I don't get that.
Yeah, I mean, she's True Romance was 90. Is this after True Romance?
I think this is after True Romance.
Because
maybe shortly
that's
after.
A lot of people's introduction to Patricia Arquette was when True Romance.
Sure.
No, I think True Romance
is 93.
Yeah, so why do I know that? Yeah, so yeah.
So yeah, I don't get that. And then all of a sudden, I mean, I know she's got issues, but then Tay Leoni's character is falling for Ben Stiller, and he looks like that goober. It's like, what? Come on.
She's not in a great place. I love when she slaps him, though. I love when he tells her.
You remind me of your mother.
She gives him that. She hits him hard too. So I like.
I didn't insult you. I said you remind me of your mother, and she looks at him like, I bet your mother. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, she hits him hard too. Well, all right then. I mean, you know what? I thought you would like this film, so I don't think I did any.
No reviews.
I don't think there might not have been reviews, so that's probably why I didn't do them because I don't think there was not a lot of notes on this film, and that happens with
smaller indie films.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of stuff that's going on. So I don't think I had any reviews for you at all. That is terrible. Because usually I like to give you reviews that
I would disagree.
Fly in the face of what you think is a good film or not a good film,
right? Which
is this film. Which I mean, I hope that nobody who made this film listens to this podcast episode because they're gonna be really upset with you.
I like even David O. Russell has made I like Three Kings. I like not his newest one. I haven't seen that yet. I like Silver Linings Playbook.
Amsterdam.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
All right.
I wasn't a big fan of the other one. No, was it no? Which is the one with Amy Adams and what's his face came out before Amsterdam, and Christian Bale.
I
wasn't. Wasn't a huge fan of that one, as you can tell, because I forgot the name. I did not like her, and obviously Ben Stiller I think is great, and I think Patricia Arquette's good. I liked Hayden Leoni. We did a movie with her where I talked about how much I thought she should deserve other roles. Mary Tyler Moore, George Segal, Alan Alda, Lily Tomlin, Richard Jenkins, Josh Brolin.
Yeah, defend yourself.
I just think it comes down to the movie itself. Like I just didn't connect with it.
Terrible. I'm just disgusted with you right now.
So the people involved in the movie, you're great.
Well, that's what I was asking you before, because you were talking about. I don't know if I got to the question or that you were talking about. You had a problem with the writing, which we talked, like not just the dialogue, but the plots and all that, the plot points.
Right,
yeah. But I don't know if I asked it, but you were okay with the acting.
The acting is fine, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think Ben Stiller's a little like tune around, but that could be the choice of like how the movie's written, like you said. So, and like you said, if this is Ben Stiller's like one of his first roles, I've now seen like a very experienced Ben Stiller going through that and honing his comedy skills and stuff. So that's where I'm coming from it in reverse, which doesn't help. I do think Richard Jenkins is always great. I don't think the man ages. I think he's always looked the same.
Ouch. Sorry, Mr. Jones.
Good Jenkins. Or bad.
Jeez.
I did like Josh Brolin in this. I haven't really seen him in too many funny things. But like I said, I think they're the best characters in this film.
He's in that show.
He has the nipple ring. I don't know if that's real. I doubt it. I don't know if that's real.
That's his?
But when he comes out, I don't know. But I thought that was funny.
Maybe not. So I guess, my usual next question is, who you recommending this to? Nobody, right? You're telling nobody about this film.
No. Any kind of like film student, they're gonna love this. They're gonna eat this film up.
Now that seems like you're being a little unfair to film students. You're saying that they don't know that they're gonna eat this up.
I'm a film student as well, but I hate when people like things just to like them. But they would just tell me, even if they didn't, they'd be like, Oh, I love so much of this. If you love it, you love it. That's great.
But if you love it, that's great. But Mike's going to make fun of you for loving it. If you just
love it as, it was such an indie darling, and I just love that. Like there are people that just love indie films for being indie films, and I just can't stand that. Like, it's so artsy. Like, I like David Lynch, but I'm not going to sit here and go, I dissect it all. He's weird. It's weird, and it's okay to like it, but it's just fucking, I just love it because it's weird and stupid. Like, sometimes it could just be that. But I would recommend it to them. I do think it's interesting to see a Ben Stiller.
I would still recommend. You would still recommend
because they'd eat it up.
Because you're stupid. That's what you're saying.
No, because they'd eat it up and they would enjoy it. I think it's interesting to see a younger Ben Stiller, like you said at the beginning.
Oh God, keep going, man. Keep digging.
I also think it's interesting that it's David O. Russell, like doing like he makes larger kind of movies. They're still kind of personal movies, but he does make kind of bigger movies now.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it's interesting to see him at the beginning of his career, kind of. So anybody who likes his movies, I would say, like, he made this movie. It's got a huge cast, and Mary Tyler Moore is really good in this movie as well.
And George Segal. Why it's forgotten? Hold up,
because we haven't asked.
We haven't got that yet. Yeah, no. Because
you want
to your counterpoint.
Who do you recommend this?
Yeah, don't listen to him. like honestly, like.
I like when like a movie like Rango, he's just like, I wouldn't recommend this to anybody.
Wrong. He is so far wrong about any of this. Like, I'm laughing because it's like, I recommend this movie to film students because you're idiots and you'll eat it up. You'll like that crap, right? No. This movie's well written. This movie's well acted. It's an indie film, but this is a movie that when you watch this film, just to use the people that you're talking about, the artsy indie people, the film students, let me decode that. I think it works yes, I would recommend it to people who are film students as well, because I think it's a perfect example of what you can do with a small budget. Yeah, obviously, let's just take that you're a great writer and you're talented and you're going to put something together. But like, this is a very easy project that you could put together, a very similar story that's about relationships. It's about the dialogue. It's about just people being people and dealing with situations. It's obviously something that's very, it'd be interesting to know if this was like a personal story with David O. Russell, like if it was something he went through or he knew somebody through. You know what I mean? Like,
I could say that you could put this together on a stage, or you could do it in a film. So
but I just think that it's a good example of what you can do. You don't need, all the big bells and whistles. You don't need any, you just need a good camera, good acting, good writing, and I think it's something to aspire to. And I think that's what a lot of indie films in the 90s, for me, growing up as a filmmaker, how they inspired me was that like, oh man, I could do this. Oh, that's look how he did that. Look how he did this, stuff like that. I think that's in that regard, I think, yes, I agree with you why you would have film students do that, but I think for different reasons. Yes, I guess they would eat it up, but in a good way.
I just think there are better, like Two Story House is a good one. Red Rock West is a good
Family
one.
House. Two family
house.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I called Two Story House before too, didn't I?
I don't even remember. No, I think you said Two Family House.
Did I? Okay.
No, I agree. Two Family House. I enjoy it. We talk about that film go check that out because that's one of my favorite movies. I
think that's
was it the Red Rock
favorite
West
independent one we did.
Yeah, but Red Rock West, that's a good film noir. Even The Last Seduction is a good film noir, which we covered.
That's got a slightly bigger budget, but yeah, you could do it on a smaller. Yeah,
but I'm saying like those kind of 90s indie films. I would recommend this movie to anybody. I would always recommend this film because I think it's funny. I think it has a lot of great lines. I think it's got a lot of great actors in it that are doing great. It's almost like it's almost like the way they shot it. Because they go from one house, they go to the next house, they go to this house. There's almost like little vignettes, and I think that's kind of why I like that as well, because it's like little pieces here and there. I just think you're wrong. I just think it's a really funny film, and I would recommend this to anybody. I understand. I do get why it doesn't work for you, and I think that has a lot to do with. And we talked about it before. Nostalgia for me, not for you. You're coming at it at a different time. Where I came at it, where I was introduced to it in a different time of my life, stuff like that. I think that all is extremely plausible, and I understand that, but I think you're still wrong. So I just, but yeah, so Mike's recommending it, kind of. I am completely, totally, right?
Why is this forgotten?
Is it for me?
Well, it can't be for me because I'm just going to be like, because it's not good.
So I think that I think this is forgotten on many different levels, and I still think this is a valid point. Younger people in their 20s don't know a lot about these movies. It's a 96 movie, and a lot of people we know are like, I don't watch movies beyond 1990, whatever. And you're just like, oh, that's enough for it. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. I think it's early Ben Stiller. It's Ben Stiller before, as Mike said, he's refined and he's doing more adult projects and he's more of a director now and a creator and a producer, which I think he's a fantastic. I like Ben Stiller as an actor, but I really think he's a better director and producer. Like The Cable Guy, for those who don't know, is directed by Ben Stiller.
I forgot about that until recently. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah.
And it's so dark and it's so good. Tropic Thunder is an all-time favorite. And my favorite thing about Tropic Thunder is every year some kid tries to cancel it. And every year everyone's like, you don't watch the movie, did you? Like that's why that movie works so well. So I think that it's a film that it's Ben Stiller maybe that people aren't used to, and so why would they go back to? You know what I mean? And I think visually, for a casual moviegoer or how a movie looks, I think that affects people. I think they have an expectation of what films may look like now, what films look like back then. Whereas some people who are into film or film aficionados, not just people in the business, but people who love cinephiles, people who love cinema, appreciate older films for the look of the film as well, because it's just like, oh, remember when films look like this, like real film, people might say. But so I think that, but I think that visually for newer audiences, I think that affects people. I just think it's forgotten because it's an indie film. I think a lot of indie films didn't get it did $14 million. Didn't get it got a wide release, but not that wide. It probably didn't last long in theaters.
Not only an indie film, it came out in the 90s, the mid 90s, which, as we've learned on Forgotten Cinema, you come out in the mid 90s, for some reason you don't exist. Good, bad, big, small. Mm-hmm. We can't find any of them.
It was extremely hard to find this movie. I'm not going to say how I found it, but it was extremely hard to find this film, which is unfortunate. I mean, it's
got a huge cast.
Yeah.
And David O. Russell.
Yeah.
They should be easy to find.
So exactly. It's not accessible. You don't see it like on TNT all the time.
I'm surprised if it's on all these lists that it's not part of the Criterion Collection. I'm very surprised about that.
It could be very well soon. I mean, I wonder, I don't know who chooses that. I don't know if you have to people have to call up and be like, I'd like to nominate this movie. But I could see it being on there. There's a ton of 90s films that, like a lot of indie films that are on there that I'm like, Flirting with Disaster could go up there too.
I would definitely agree with that.
So I think for a lot of those reasons, it's forgotten. This movie, Flirting with Disaster, is one of my bigger reasons. One of the biggest reasons why this podcast exists, why Forgotten Cinema exists.
It was closer to the top of the list, right?
Because it was a movie that I liked a lot and nobody talked about. So I think this is one of those films that kind of, when we first started putting the list together back in 2019, that's why it was up there, because it was one of the first movies I thought of. So yeah, that's why I think it's forgotten. All those reasons. Don't listen to him, but you can listen to Mike now, as he's going to tell you about all of our wonderful things coming up.
So I'm going to tell you that opinions are subjective. So you can talk about your opinions on movies,
even though he's wrong,
in Discord, even though I'm wrong now. All of a sudden, movies, everything's subjective until Butler says something's not great.
Well, listen, when you're wrong, like Butler's wrong, he needs to be course correct.
Or when Field says something's bad,
nothing's bad.
Then it's lore. That's canon. It just is.
I'm glad you're on the same page as me. I mean,
but you can tell me how wrong I am, or how wrong Field are, or how middle of the road we both are. On Discord, it's free to join. If you join our Patreon, you get invited into our Discord. You can tell us all about how you feel. If you feel like you want to subscribe and be a bigger part of our community, you get bonuses like exclusive episodes. We've got our lead up series. We did Ghostbusters, Roadhouse. If you're watching this when this episode first comes out, we're in the middle of our Planet of the Apes rewatch for the newer films leading up to Kingdom. And we've got coming up an entire thing where we go through the Alien saga leading up to Alien Romulus in August. So if you want to hear us talk about movies that aren't so indie or forgotten, that's the place where we're going to do it on Patreon. You also get exclusive discounts on merch, all that kind of good stuff. But really, if you just want to join our community, it's free to join on Patreon and just talk movies with us. It's a safe space. I promise. This isn't so much a safe space, but Discord
First of all, I thought I handled this rather well. I thought I could have gone nuclear on you, and I did not.
Good. But Discord, like I said, everyone's opinion's valid. Unless you're going to tell me that like The Human Centipede is the greatest movie of all time. Then
feed her.
Then that's invalid. But no, we wanted to have a place where everybody could talk about movies, not just, the latest releases and Marvel movies, but like all kinds of movies like this. We just love talking about how they're made, what goes into making them, how they did.
Yeah, I love how you go right to the Marvel movies. I mean, that's fine, but I mean,
it's just easy. That's like movies.
For those who know, I did do a podcast about Marvel.
It's just why we did Forgotten Cinema, because everyone talks about those kind of movies. And we'll talk about those kind of movies in Discord too. We watch those, but we could talk about anything movie in there. We really want to build out a community, a film loving community. So
that loves flirting with disaster. Come on,
I could be the only one who doesn't. Come at me, indie guys.
You're there. Come on.
As used to join Patreon is to just put me down. I'll turn off my notifications.
You cannot do that.
Kidding. I'll take all the hits.
All right, so join us next week. We're going to be, I think this was from the 90s. It is from the 90s. What am I talking about? We're going to be doing the special edition version of The Abyss with all the extra stuff at the end.
I'm very excited. I haven't seen this movie since I was like a child.
So. Now, you think I was mean now? If you don't like The Abyss when we do it next week, get ready, because The Abyss is awesome. And
I'm sure it is. I honestly remember.
If you don't like The Abyss, though, Butler, we're gonna have real issue next week.
I don't think there's a James Cameron movie I have not liked yet. So I have not watched the newest Avatar.
What about Piranha 2? Did you forget that he did that?
I know he did that, but I've never actually seen
The Spawning.
I do love that he broke into the editing room after they fired him and went, "Screw that! I'm gonna finish my movie."
Yeah. Well, if you don't like The Abyss, there's issues. And we're watching the special edition, so we got to make sure we watch the special edition. And that's the one with all the extra stuff.
I'm pretty sure you can't find the original theatrical now. I think everything's a special edition. We'll make sure.
Well, I don't know how, but all right, we'll make sure. We got it.
If it doesn't say special edition in big words on the print.
All right. We'll see you again next week. We'll see you on YouTube when we're there. We'll see you. We're everywhere. We'll see you then. I'm Mike Field.
This has gone off the rails. I'm Mike Butler.
And Flirting with Disaster is a great movie, and this is Forgotten Cinema.